All right, and we are live. If you see Dan, tell him to pop in here if you could.
Okay. Oh, hi, Dan.
There he is. Look at the door. All right, we are live, ready to go. So welcome if you haven't been here before. Conversion to closing. We're going to talk about some basics, and then we're going to go into some deeper stuff. So, real quick, for those that haven't joined us before, I want to go through a couple statistics and numbers. Anybody have any idea what the response rate is when somebody inquires on a property? What do you think the response rate is? How many people do you think don't ever get a response? What it truly is. Yeah, so I mean, you call in or click you want information on a property. What do you think the response rate is that you're going to get a return call or a return message?
37%.
Close. Reverse that though. It's 36% of people never get a call back. Never get a call back. So in other words, Dan hires me to sell his house. Tam over there calls me because he's interested in Dan's house. I don't call him back. And I want 7% to sell Dan's house. That's an actual statistic in our industry. It's a black mark on our industry. For those that do get a response, anybody have any idea what the average response time is?
24 hours.
5 to 9. Yep. So between 5 and 9 is the peak hot time. Okay. Now what Dan said is 9 because he's focusing on the worst of it, and that's probably true because it's probably closer to 9. But the hot bed of response is 5 to 9 hours. So Tam again. Mr. Rogers back there in the pink sweater decides he's going to call in and he's going to inquire about my property. Dan, my agent, calls Tam back 9 hours later. Tam's out playing softball at this time, trying to play softball. So we got a great story about him running the bases and almost threw up. That's all he had to do was run the bases, and he almost threw up. So
Hey, did I get a home run though?
you did. You hit a home run, so that was good.
Still couldn't make it around.
Still couldn't make it around. He almost
Even
didn't
though he
make
had
it.
all the time in the world to do
Yeah,
it.
pretty much. So, anyway, that being said, Tam's out playing softball. Dan finally tries to call him back. You think Tam's really thinking about my house anymore? Unless he's really super motivated about it, he's probably not, right? So the conversion rates go down. Anybody have any idea what the hottest conversion time is?
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. Actually, the stat that they did, MIT did a study on this. Conversion rates were like, I want to say it was 100 times, not 100%, but 100 times better. You're more likely to convert that lead if you're back to them within 5 minutes. And why is that? Dan, why do you think that is?
Because they're still thinking about there or still searching the site.
They're
whatever it is.
still on the site, they're still in the driveway, they're still sitting there, okay? So the response time, you have a 100 times better chance of them picking the phone up and getting the appointment if you call in the first 5. That drops significantly if you go from 5 to 15 minutes. But after 15 minutes, it's all bets are off. Okay? Now, between 5 and 15 minutes, you got to look at it almost like triage, a gunshot wound. If you let them sit there and bleed out for more than 15 minutes, they're probably going to die, right? So that's how you got to look at the lead conversion. When somebody's calling on your sign, when somebody is inquiring from Realtor.com, from Zillow, from you name the source, the faster you're back to them, the better. By the way, if Dan is interested in my house and he's clicking online that he wants information on it, do you think I'm the only house he's looking at? Probably not, right? So if I'm clicking on 4 houses I like, what happens? 4 people call me. 4 different people. So if, for example...
Actually, 3 of them will, 1 won't.
Yeah, exactly, the stat, right? So for example, if Scott Manning walked in the door right there, calls me back before Tam does, Scott might set an appointment for the property that XYZ Main Street that he called me on, but I also might have interest in 2 or 3 others that I bring up to Scott, and Scott might set those as well. By the time Tam calls me back 9 hours later, I'm already taken care of. So that's the reality. Now, let's talk about the ones that don't answer their phone. They don't answer their phone. What's the average attempt that agents make for contact? What do you think?
Once.
Between 1 and 3 times. Most of the time it's 2. That's the hot number. They will make 2 attempts. If nothing happens, what's going to happen is the agent moves on. Now, think about this. Most people, they try here, they try here, and they drop off. Can you guess where the 80% of the connects happen?
After that first attempt.
After that first attempt. What's that?
8 to 12.
Right in this bracket. So you're looking from 5 to 12 is your highest. 80% of your connects will happen between your 5th and your 12th attempt. So, I want to tell you two stories.
They're as bad as we are.
What's that?
They're as bad as we are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What's that? It's a phone call. Yep, so we're just talking phone call and text right now. So email has less than a 40% read rate, so that's going to be taken into account as well. So let's be honest, guys. 5 to 12 attempts, how many agents actually are going to try 12 times? Now, there's teams throughout the country that I know of that they've got a rule in place. You know, we want, X percent or X amount of attempts a day on every single lead, and they really, really drive that home with accountability. And that's where the connects seem to happen. Now, one story I have, and Dan, you've probably heard me tell this before, is an agent on a team, they had a rule 21 times. 21 times in 21 days, that had to be their follow-up on every single lead. And the team leader would go into their CRM, and they would make sure that that was happening. Well, imagine an agent having to call somebody 21 times and leaving voicemails and messages and texts, and they're running out of things to say. So one particular agent, on the 19th call, was starting to get pretty frustrated because there was zero response. On the 20th call, literally zero response, and the agent walked up to the team leader and said, "You know what? I'm not making another call. I have nothing else to say, nothing new. This ain't working." And the team leader says, read your favorite recipe to them. It doesn't matter what you say, just make the attempt. So the woman says, "You know what? I'm going to take that literally." So she calls and she reads on a voicemail her grandma's pie for cherry pie recipe. About 2 hours later, she gets a phone call back, and she answers the phone, and the guy says, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" And he's laughing. I mean, he's like laughing. He wasn't mad. He said, "I'm so sorry. I've been out of town at a funeral and blah, 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 and I've got all your messages. And you know what? I am working with you because nobody has ever followed up like this. And that was the craziest message I've ever got." So that woman sold that person a home. Now, one that got posted this morning, I want to say that going off memory, over 3 months, over 20 contacts with no messages, finally got them to call back, listed and sold an $800,000 house. I think that might have been Lab Coats or one of the other, maybe Agent War Room. I can't remember which site I saw that on today. So anyway, that being said, the moral of the story here is, how often are you trying to connect? What are some guidelines you're setting for yourself? A common one, and I like this one, the Club Wealth method, I think is pretty good too. So the rule of 3. 3 times 3. So the lead calls in. 3 times you attempt to connect in the first 3 days per day. Every day, 3 times for 3 days. Then beyond that, 3 times in the next, 3 times a week in the next 3 weeks. And then beyond that, 3 times a month for the next 3 months. So I'll write this out. A day for 3 days. 3 times a day for 3 days. 2, 3 times a week for 3 weeks. And 3 times a month for 3 months.
And what was the times you left a message?
Yeah, when did you do the message thing?
So there's a good thing you can rotate. Call, text, call, voicemail. Okay, so call, no message, text, and then call with voicemail. That's a pretty good one to stick with. Next. Everybody got this? I mean, my writing is terrible, but can everybody make heads or tails out of this? If not, I can write it in Chinese and hold it upside down. You might have a better shot. Okay, so that being said, when we talk about a system, a follow-up, Most people follow up reactively when they feel like it, when they've got time. Lead follow-up, guys, should be part of your working on your business structure. So every day you should have lead follow-up and or prospecting that you're working on, because what happens in our industry is we get so tied up with the buyers and sellers we kind of forget to prospect for new ones. We've got legitimately two full-time jobs in our industry: prospecting and working on our business, and then servicing the people we have. We tend to focus more on the people we have because that's the bird in the bush. Problem is, anybody ever get busy? They're closing 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions in a month, and the next month they go, oh shoot, I got to start over. I'm out. Right? So this is how you avoid that: is you keep these follow-up systems in place. So whether they're sign calls, people you met at open houses, lead generators, whatever you're working on to gather leads, that should go into place. Okay, any comments on the follow-up? 3 times, yes.
I was listening to what you were today with the lead I got from my local,
Okay.
where I had, it said text and email. I called. She was too busy to talk to me, told me to call back tomorrow. I called back tomorrow. She was still too busy to talk to me. Call back another time.
Yep.
And I called the next day. She was too busy. She couldn't answer. And so then I waited 4 days. Then I called her. And that's what people I called.
Nice. But see, what you did is you with tenacity followed up. People give up. So that's really good. People tend to give up and move on to something that's kind of low-hanging fruit, what's ready right now. The money in lead
The agents give up, not the lead. That
Yes.
wasn't they beat your lead to submission.
Yes, pretty much. So, honestly, it really comes down to this: is the money in lead generation is not in the low-hanging fruit who's ready today. The money is in lead nurture and follow-up. That's where the majority is, and that's where we are all terrible at in the industry. Yes.
I ran into a problem. I ran a Facebook campaign.
Yep.
I got about 14 leads in 2 weeks from it.
Nice.
It was awesome, and super excited. Called everybody, and I want to say like 10% of the people spoke English.
Okay.
And the communication was so just arduous.
Nice.
So
Yep.
it was like, what's the best way to communicate? Should we email? Should we text?
Can you get on Facebook Live with them and do hand signs? And point at stuff. I mean, that could work too. Okay, so what's that?
You're always solving the problem.
Always got a solution. So what you should know is I want to say that we speak up to, it's either 12 to 13 different languages here in the office. If you do run into needing some help with interpretation, send a message out on our group. You probably find somebody that speaks the language. So we have I don't know if you guys knew that, but we just have a ton of diversity in languages here. I speak too, English and bad English. That's all I got. So,
That's all you have?
that's all I got. Yeah, all I got. Bad English. All right, moving on. Okay, so let's talk about. Well, we're going to start with 2 different things. First, we're going to start just sort of warming up the exercise of how your specific property call should go. Then we're going to talk about non-specific property call and customer service, landing page leads, Facebook leads, stuff like that. So specific property means that those people called in on a sign or clicked that they wanted more info online. There's a property they want to talk to somebody about. That's a different kind of lead than somebody that landed on a landing page searching for general buying information. Total different kind of buyer or lead, right? Now, one thing I want to bring up, and you guys should probably remember this phrase because it's pretty important. When you're talking about lead follow-up and lead conversion, you want to keep following up till they do one of 2 things: buy or die. That's really what it is. Okay? Either they buy or tell you to get whatever. Okay? So
Tell you to die.
yeah, exactly. Right. So that's where people that are really good in lead generation, people like you, Taylor, who are spending money on lead generating platforms, you want to keep that system going. So specific property, Realtor.com, Zillow, sign calls, open house ads that they're responding to, whatever the heck it is that they're calling or messaging in on a specific property. Let's talk about how those conversations should go. Okay, a couple guidelines. When you call somebody, I call Dan. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, I am a realtor calling you.
Oh, God.
That's typically what happens is the wall comes up, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're identifying why we're calling before we even identify who we are. What's the average attention span in today's world?
What?
I'm sorry, are you talking to me? That's pretty much what it is, right? People have, everybody's got ADD these days. Between handheld devices and computers and everything else that's going on. Nobody is really paying attention unless the information is coming fast and furious. They don't want to screw around, especially millennials. So when I call Dan, I'm going to let him know exactly why I'm calling. Hi, I'm responding to an inquiry on XYZ Main Street. Now, if I'm doing my lead calls correctly and he's still sitting there in front of the computer or in the driveway of the house he's calling on, he's going to know what property I'm talking about, and I'm identifying what interested him in picking the phone up. Make sense? Okay.
I'm responding to an action you took.
Exactly. You took an action, I'm responding. Okay?
There's a subtle difference in here. Did he say responding to your inquiry?
And why didn't I?
He did not say your inquiry. Watch. Try it, Mike.
I'm responding to your inquiry on XYZ Main Street.
I didn't inquire on anything.
Great. Can you check next to the seat next to you? Do you have a wife that might have? Because you're both playing on your phones, you don't know what each other's doing. Is it possible your wife or somebody else in the car did, right? So what we want to do is we're saying I'm responding to an inquiry. And if Dan did not make the inquiry, he's going to say,
Not quite sure.
right, okay, is it possible that somebody else in the household may have made an inquiry on XYZ Main Street? Are you guys looking at homes?
Sure. So then you follow from there.
We're going to follow up from there.
But then
Now,
your inquiry is a yes/no proposition. They can slam the door down and try to recover.
yeah, we do not want to give them excuses to hang the phone up on us. So, open-ended. Now, going from there, we've identified why I've called. We've identified that there's an inquiry in the home, but we have not identified yet who I'm talking to or who I am. So, I'm responding to an inquiry on XYZ Main Street. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Great. Who am I speaking to?
My name's Dan.
Great, Dan. My name is Mike Bernier with Realty Group. Now we got the introductions out of the way, and it flowed in the correct order. Okay? So you wanted information, Dan, on XYZ Main Street. How can I help you?
Yeah, what's the price?
Now, we're identifying what he's looking for. Now, did you notice a question I asked? Now, I want to be very specific, guys, and you should all have done this at some point now. Check out the competition. Call to see how other realtors are handling lead situations. Spend a half an hour doing it. Okay, because what you're going to find is,
You'll get called back 9 hours later.
yeah, if you get called back at all, it'll be 9 hours later, and the conversations go like this. Hey, you call the XYZ Main Street. Do you want to see it? Are you pre-approved? Have you been pre-qualified? Can I send you my lender?
Oh, get away.
That's usually how it's going to go. It's going to be, are you wasting my time, and prove to me you're worth talking to? Does that resonate well with the consumer?
Nope.
Really doesn't. Okay, so the flow of the conversation is going to go just like we did. The introduction's out of the way, and I'm going to find out, how can I help you? Not prove to me you're worth my time, but how can I help you? He wants the price. Great, Dan, the price is $345,000. Is that the price range you're looking at?
Pause. What did he just do?
Answer your question with a question.
Now, if I would have said, the price is $345,000,
Thank you.
I'm giving them the reason to hang the phone up. I'm leaving that door open, but if I ask him a question, he's going to feel more compelled to respond. $345,000, Dan, is that the price range you're looking at?
Oh, that's right at the top end.
Right at the top end. Got it. In a perfect world, what price are you looking for?
$250.
Awesome. We got a few of those too, just not here. Okay. So anyway, we're looking for information, right? So he's going to answer that question. Yeah, it's top end of my price range. Great. Well, hey Dan, what attracted you to this home?
Oh, that's close to work.
Okay. So remember, there's two really, really solid questions we need to ask. How can I help you? What attracted you to the home? Okay. So with what attracted you to the home, I'm going to find out part of his motivation. So we know he's shopping for price. He's curious to price, and we know he wants to be close to. What did you say? Close to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Awesome, Dan. Where do you work?
Oh, St. John's.
St. John's, great. Okay, so now I'm starting to get a feel for what industry he's in. So I'm learning more about my buyer. Awesome. Okay. So, Dan, have you looked at many in the area?
Nope.
Would this be your first one?
Yeah, just not online right now.
Awesome. Okay, so what am I learning? He's new. Right? Aside from the area, Dan, out of the other homes in the neighborhood within a few miles from your work, what drew you to this one? Was it the style, the look? What did it for you?
Oh, if the pictures look well, I like to cook, so the kitchen look big.
Kitchen looked big. Awesome. Great. So what else am I learning? I'm learning what his taste is. I really am drawn to kitchens. Some people it's going to be backyard. Some people it's number of bedrooms for their kids. Some people it's going to be school district, whatever the case might be. Okay? So Dan, is it safe to assume that you haven't looked at a house yet?
No, I haven't. Just the last 6 or 7 months looking online.
Awesome. What's driving, or what's the next driving question we need to figure out with Dan? He's a brand new buyer, hasn't looked at homes. Are we feeling yet what do we want to do ultimately in this conversation? Set the appointment. But we also need to learn some information so we can set what? Remember, we don't want to come looking for one house.
Comparables.
We want alternative properties. Okay? We want more than one to show them. So, you like big kitchens, Dan? Is there anything else in the criteria of this house that really caught your eye? Number of bedrooms?
Yeah, I gotta have 4 bedrooms.
Gotta have 4 bedrooms. Awesome. And you said this is the top of your price range. What's sort of the bottom?
So whatever we can do that gets 4 bedrooms and a nice kitchen near work.
What's your tolerance for work, for repairs and stuff like that? Do you want something more turnkey or?
No repairs.
Awesome, good deal. So that's an awesome thing to know. Do we want to send him $150,000 houses that need a full rehab? No. Great. Well, Dan, I'll tell you what, you haven't looked at a house yet. Right now, this is pretty much just theory. You're trying to figure out what you like, what things should be priced at. This one right here, you said is 5 minutes from your work, correct?
Yep.
Safe to assume you're working today?
Yep.
Awesome. On the way home after work, what do you think I'm about to do right now? I'm going to book the appointment. Great. And the way home out of work today, I'm going to go ahead and set this appointment for you so you can actually get your eyes on a home. Not just online, but actually walk through it. The only way you're really going to figure out what you like and what your tastes are, Dan, is if you actually physically walk in and get a feel for it. Now, you're new at this, and you're probably not buying today, and that's fine, but ultimately, you're going to have to get off the bench and get in the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at this house today. By the way, to maximize your time, I'm going to go ahead and set up a few others. So can we set aside maybe an hour today to look at this and three others in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I can do that.
Great. Did I ask permission?
Yes.
No,
Not really, didn't. I said we're gonna set the appointment, and
I'm going to.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this. The only thing I ask permission for is, can you take an hour of your time? That's the only thing I need him to say yes to. Okay. Now, what are some things you might hear in objections with that?
Did you want me to wait for the next one?
What's that?
The next is to set up the call if you want an objection, but okay.
Right, but I mean, if we're going to have an objection, we're going to have, well, I got to talk to my wife. I'm not quite ready yet. I'm still new to this, all that kind of stuff. Those objections could happen, and we're going to talk about objections in a little bit here. But ideally, what we're trying to do is set the appointment, because once we set the appointment, we're face-to-face. What do you think happens to our likelihood that we're going to actually work with that buyer? Skyrockets, right? All right. So, common objection. I'm in no hurry.
Not in a hurry.
I'm not in a hurry. Don't need to buy. That's great, Dan. But the question is, do you want to?
I don't want to waste your time.
I don't want to waste your time, right? So, and I've had people ask me that, and you can ask, well, hey, that's fine. I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you for thinking of me. But just out of curiosity, what would make you think it's a waste of my time?
No, because I'm not in a big hurry right now. I'm just kind of looking.
Gotcha. So I'm just kind of looking. Is it safe to say, Dan, that at some point in the future you're probably going to move, and this is very early on for you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I always like to say it like this. Generally when you were searching out information, I'm guessing that's kind of what you're doing online right now, correct, Dan?
Yep.
Generally, when you go online and you look for information on anything, you go to a nice little site that's called Google. And when you go to Google, you type in things you're looking for, and Google finds information for you. So all I want you to do, Dan, is think of me as Google when it comes to real estate. So right now you've got me on the phone. I'm going to be able to take you through this property, get some eyes on it for you. But this is your chance as you're learning, with no pressure to buy. This is your chance as you're learning to ask me questions and start figuring out the process that's going to be tailored to you. When you search general information online, those things are generalities. I'm going to help you figure out information that will be tailored directly to you and your situation. So feel free, ask me away. What things are you learning? What things are you curious about? How can I help? See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that into an opportunity for Dan to be able to feel safe by taking the appointment and knowing there's no pressure to buy this house. Make sense? Now, there's a million ways to handle that objection. I just threw out one. You guys can all formulate your own. Okay.
I got club well.
Right now? Good. Take off. Okay. Any questions on that? Anybody have that objection thrown at them? I'm not in a hurry. I don't want to waste your time. Okay. How have you handled that?
Probably not like I should have.
Do you say, okay, and then hang up the phone?
No, I kind of give them space. you know, the one time I kinda had a guy do that to me, he just, you know, as much as I pushed for setting the appointment, he
Yeah.
just would not,
Wouldn't do it?
wouldn't give in. And
Right.
He wasn't being mean about it, but
Did you give him a compelling reason why to take the appointment?
yes, but he just kept, you know, it was like tug of war and he kept, you know, pulling back.
Gotcha. Have you followed up with him since?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And he's thinking about next year.
Gotcha.
He's still in I think he signed like a 20-month lease.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's very, very early on.
Yeah, but I still wanted to get out there and show him stuff. 'Cause
Well,
like
okay,
you
so-
said, once you get that face to face, a
But what other kind of appointment can we take that's not showing houses that we can still get in front of them?
cup of coffee and just talk.
Strategy session, which is really a buyer's consult, right?
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned before with Dan, we've got to figure out how we can interject and help them find information that's tailored to them. Do we know if they got credit issues? Do they have lending challenges? Do they know what their cash reserves are required to purchase a home? Are they a cash buyer? Do they know how that works? Do they understand the inspection and offer process in buying a home? Do they understand market metrics? Do they know the neighbors are looking at how to find which one is doing better in value than the other? Those are things that we can use depending on who we're talking to as hot buttons.
Yeah.
What's important to them? You know, and I've asked buyers, you know, when buying your home, whether it's your first or, you know, your last, what is important to you in this purchase? Price, area, and whatever it is, why? And why? And why? And keep asking why until you get to the heart of it. And when you do get to the heart of it, you can figure out, are they thinking about numbers and data? Are they thinking about the emotional side, the feel of it? Are they thinking about, you know, all they're really thinking about is getting a great deal? What motivates them? And then start helping form a strategy on that. Make sense? Anybody else have that same objection to overcome? Saw a couple hands back there. Yeah.
Well, I just basically said, what is your time period? What are you looking at, maybe 6 months from now?
Yep.
3 to 6 months, and she was looking at 6 months, and I said, well, maybe it's gonna be time in the next month or two, we can get together, and we can even get together now.
Yep.
And we did get together within about a month.
Nice.
We're closing on our home on May 26th, so.
Beautiful. So you did get the face-to-face. Now, let's put it this way. Scott, you're telling me that you're not going to buy for a year, and like Elijah said, you're getting pushed back on the appointment, which is fine. So the question is, Scott, what do you think the appropriate, now you're the buyer. Scott, what do you think the appropriate time is to start investigating and researching how to buy a home? If you're going to buy in a year, when do you think the right time is?
I think it's really, it should be happening constantly through the whole year. I mean, take a look at what's on the market and what the market.
But do you think that's what a buyer usually says?
Nah, let's wait until next year.
Right, right. So, you know, if you're my buyer, I'm going to say, you know, Scott, I tell you what, you're thinking of making, is it safe to assume you never purchased anything more than $200,000 before?
Correct.
Okay, so it's safe to say this is probably the biggest purchase of your life. Okay, now I will say this, Scott, most people spend a lot more time researching colleges than they ever do buying homes. And they're but equally as expensive when you really look at it, okay? And they're equally as impactful to your life. I mean, the two biggest assets you have is your ability to make money in your place to live, right? Those are usually generally the two biggest assets a person has. They spend a lot more time researching and developing their income and their career than they ever do in their house. So I would say, Scott, as a buyer, if you're thinking next year, you are in the exact right time to start researching right now. Now, I think that most people don't want to come see me, an agent, Scott, because they feel like there's going to be pressure to buy, and I want to kill that right now. I'm not going to give you 1 ounce of pressure to buy. What I want to do is get you to be an educated buyer, that when you turn around and pull that trigger, that you know the market as well as I do. That's going to make me a happy agent, because that's the kind of service I want to give to everybody I work with. So many people come sliding into home-based sideways. They're not even starting their process until 60 days before they buy a home, and they know nothing about the process. So I commend you for checking early. I'm just going to help you add to that experience by meeting with you, helping you get on a strategy session, looking for any hurdles that might be in your way, and helping you overcome them early on. Now, that's kind of how you want to handle. Now, I do that in my style. You guys all have your own, but you want to be able to handle and tackle, give them a compelling reason why. People don't do action until they see benefit. You have to be able to explain the benefit before they're actually going to take the action. Make sense? All right. Now, lead nurture happens in greater fashion with specific types of leads. Our Realtor.com, our specific property leads have less nurture. They tend to be farther along in the process than non-specific properties. So what are some non-specific property sources? Facebook's one, for those that are doing Facebook campaigns. Somebody might click on a house that's for sale, but really what it is a lot of people that are clicking on Facebook, they're not searching Zillow and Realtor.com yet. They're just not at that point. Okay, how about Commissions Inc.? Landing pages, squeeze pages, general buying information. What's the other ones out there? Boomtown, name the source. Okay, Craigslist. Sometimes people just clicking in and getting driven to some sort of landing page, and then boom, they opt in because they want information and they don't even know they're going to get a call back. So we call that non-specific property. Is that perhaps a harder lead to convert than what Realtor.com is? Because remember, Realtor.com, they're clicking a button. I want info on XYZ Main Street. Please call me back. That's a different kind of lead. So let's talk about the non-specific property leads. Can we call them every time and say, hey, you inquired about XYZ Main Street? Not always. Okay? So how do we handle that? It kind of depends on the situation, but generally you're going to call them and say, hey, you landed on such and such site. You landed on such and such page. It looks like you opted in for some information. I am your customer service rep. I'm the guy that's calling you to make sure you got what you're looking for, that the site worked, and I'm here to fill in any pieces that are missing and for what you're looking for. How can we help you? You've got a live person on the phone. How can I help you? And you're going to hear people, say things such as, oh, I'm just, searching for information. I just, clicked here. I don't really need anything. Okay, we can deal with those objections as they come. But the flow of the conversation is what we want you to understand today. So when the buyer calls in, or when you call the buyer, it's going to be more or less, hey, I'm the guy calling. Looks like you may have landed on one of our pages, one of our sites, may have clicked that you wanted more information either on the buying process or a specific property. Two things. One, I'm your customer service rep. I'm just calling to make sure things work right on the site for you, and I'm here to give you any more information that you're looking for. How can I help you today? That's how it starts. And then the rest of the conversation pretty much goes the way it did. You're going to ask a question. Sorry, you're going to answer a question with the question. Somebody says, well, what I'm looking for is, I'm wondering what the restrictions are, what the requirements are to get a loan. These might be different types of questions of what you're getting on specific property, right? Whatever they ask you, you are going to have to answer a question and deliver back a new question. Why do we do that?
Yeah, to learn more about them.
To learn more and to control it. Because I want to be very clear on this. The person that talks the most dominates a conversation. The person that asks the most questions controls it. There's a difference there. I don't want to dominate the conversation. I want to control it. The more I'm talking, the less I'm learning. The more I'm asking questions, the more I'm listening, the more I'm learning. That is a very key distinction right there. So remember that. Those who talk more dominate. Those who ask more questions control.
What I've been doing with my way local.
Yep.
Is I'm calling, like you said, like customer service type thing. Or
Yep.
what I start off usually saying is basically asking for feedback on the website. How do you like the website?
Exactly.
Finding everything that you're looking for.
Exactly.
And that usually opens everything up.
Exactly. The site was built for you. We're here to help you. I'm your live customer service rep. I am the one that, I'm a live person on the phone, not a robot. How's the site working? How can I help you? You know what, if they don't like the site, that's great. You know what, the site was built, but it's still not the end all and cure all. I've got access to the MLS. I got access to fill in the blank. I'm going to set you up on a better search, one that's more tailored to you. Tell me your criteria. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up with you after the search is done, so I can follow up to make sure that you got it working correctly. You're setting action items and reasons to call. Another thing you want to do, at the end of every conversation, set an action item for them to do, for you to do, and a reason to call. So I'm going to set this search for you, then I'm going to call you back in a couple hours. I'm going to walk you through it to make sure that it worked. Because some people do struggle to get it, click on the right link and to make it work. So I'm going to do that, we're going to walk through it. Then I'm going to show you, while I'm on the phone with you, how to select your favorite properties so I can see them and you can see them. We can be on the same page. Now I'm telling them why I'm calling them back. I'll even set a time. Look, I'm going to call you at 5 o'clock. Right? The more action items I assign, the more I actually tell them what is going to happen next, the more responsive they'll be when the phone rings. Because they already know why you're calling. Make sense? Is anybody not going to be quiet today? Can I get, like, some noise from you guys? I mean, it's not Monday. Thank you.
This is amazing stuff, by the way. This is awesome. This is really great, Taylor. So,
Yeah, and so, Taylor, that's exactly the way you want to do it. You definitely want to make sure you're calling from a customer service angle versus, hey, I'm a realtor and want to sell you a home on those non-specific properties. All right, so let's form some groups. Actually, you know what? One more thing. Let's do an objection. You're trying to set the appointment. So each group, how do we want to do this? Form groups of 2. Do that real quick, and then we're going to assign each group an objection to handle in the conversation. And for those that are new, haven't done this before, you're welcome to be the buyer. That's a lot easier. So form your groups of 2, and then when everybody's ready, we'll assign objections. Go for it. Everybody got a partner? So if it's an odd number, join a 3. Join a 2-some.
Join a threesome?
No, I stopped myself, Angie. You heard me.
Andrew, slow it down.
Okay. I have a deal that has, it was supposed to close next Tuesday.
Okay.
Get a call yesterday, basically, from the lender. The client brought the lender in.
Yep.
Not gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my client today indicating what, I talked with the lender never talked about this. They have to reconfigure the financing. So now this is the note.
Let's do this because we got to get this. Let's do this after class because I got everybody ready.
But they're doing something.
I know I've got to sign. I've got to sign.
I thought you had signed them. Okay,
Nope.
all right.
So we'll do that after class. Okay, we guys ready? All right. So we have 2 objections. All right, everyone. We got 2 objections. Here we go. Objection 1 is going to be, I need to check with blank. So in other words, you're trying to set the appointment. I need to call you back. I need to check with my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, whoever. Okay? 2. Or we have, I am interviewing agents next month. Okay, so we're going to do this. 1 and 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's your objection. You got to work in. The buyer's got to work that into the conversation. Okay? Now, I did not get a chance to finish the flow of the conversation with any specific property, generally specific property, but any flow of the conversation. We got to check to make sure, once we set the appointment, we have to make sure there's not.
Another agent? Well,
We got to check to make sure that I'm working with another agent. Plus, excuse me, we want to invite who?
other
Decision makers and influencers, right? So, tell you what, Elijah, we're all set up for 5 o'clock tonight. Is there anybody else that we should extend the invitation to?
Yeah, probably my girlfriend,
Great, what's her name?
Denise.
Is she good looking?
Yes.
Can I call her?
She's a bit-
Okay, so we're going to want to make sure that we get the decision makers out of the way. Great. And before we hang up, before I see you tonight at 5, I have to make sure I'm not stepping on any ethical rules, Elijah. I just want to make sure, have you signed with another agent?
I signed something, I don't know if it was a contract.
I'm going to stab you right now. Anyway,
2 or 4 pages.
nice. Okay, yeah, so, was it 2, was it 4 pages, right? Was it agency? Was it buyer's rep? Okay? All right. Now, here's the thing. We have yes?
I do have can I ask a question in regards to that?
Yes.
Because I did have a lady I was talking to.
Yep.
And she said, yeah, I think I may have. I said the same thing you did. Was
Yep.
it 2 pages, 4 pages? I really don't
Not sure.
remember.
Right.
Not sure.
Yep.
And she pressed and pressed and pressed and pressed. And I made a call on myself that I can't, I'm sorry, but I
Can't move forward.
with
Right.
you unless you really know that.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine, bye.
And let's talk about the ethics on that, okay? Because the ethics state that we don't have to be responsible for whether or not they sign with another agent. We have to ask the question, okay? That's the first litmus test is, did we ask the question, are you signed with another agent? If they say, I don't think so or I don't know, but I still want to move forward with you, we're not in an ethical violation if we move forward. The problem is this. Step 2, do we want to protect them? Because what could happen to them if they buy with me, but they're signed with Elijah?
It's gonna cost them.
They could cost them a double commission. Okay, so we want to make sure that, hey, I want to show you the home too. I know it's probably not going to be here by Monday. However, I don't want you in a pickle. What I need you to do is, whoever that other agent was, call them and ask them for a copy. Did they send you a copy of the contract? They didn't. Imagine that in real estate. They didn't send the buyer a copy. Who never does that? Everyone. So, honestly, it's the worst, right? I mean, we have rules and laws in every form and fashion. We have to give them signed copies of everything. It rarely happens. So, go and get a copy. I will take a look at it, and we'll make sure that you're safe to go ahead and purchase. Because if they send me a buyer's rep, I don't want to touch that. They send me agency, good to go, right? Okay.
That makes sense.
Now, yes.
On your number 2 there,
Yep.
I have a situation I want some of you to handle. My wife was on a Facebook group. Someone was talking about listing their home. So obviously it was a feeding frenzy.
Sure. Yep.
Going nuts on there. So I contacted. They were a little short with me, but they're saying, oh, we're interviewing agents at so-and-so. And I set the date with the listing appointment.
Right.
And it was like, I think a couple weeks in the future, which I wasn't happy about, but set the appointment. A few days or so went by. Some other agent was extremely eager.
Yep. You got in.
She canceled the appointment.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's why you got to push for the appointment now. See, there's a few ways you can do that. Number 1, okay, Taylor, that's great. You're going to interview next month. When is your move-in time? When would you like to, in a perfect world, be in your new home?
July 5th.
July 5th. Great. So here's a couple of angles we can take with this, right? Especially even at July 5th. I could say this right now. Can we sell a house in May and close in July? Can we do that? That's not out of the factor. And why July, by the way, Taylor? What's the motivation there?
What's the more Independence Day in my house?
Gotcha. Okay. So, one thing too, just to take a different curve on this, a lot of times what it is, it's timing leases, right? They're saying, well, that's when my rent is, that's when I'm out of my lease. But they don't realize if they close on June 2nd or 3rd, they don't have a payment due to August 1st. And when you explain that to them, they get a little bit more motivated to do something. So a couple other questions I'm going to ask is, great, what qualities, when you interview agents, what qualities and what questions are you looking to ask and what qualities are you looking for? Have you thought about that, Taylor?
I have none.
Awesome. Here's 10 top questions you want to ask any agent in your interview. Here it is. Okay, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start showing value before I even get off the phone. Okay, then what I'm going to say is, what interests you? Now, I know you're not picking an agent right now, so this is just free information. This is just food for thought for you, Taylor. But what information or what interests you when you're purchasing a home? What's important? The price of the home, the area of the home, the market data, the neighborhood, the school district. What factors are important to you there? School, great. So are you going to make sure that whoever you hire is going to have a good working knowledge of the school district and the neighborhood you're looking for? Good. So we're going to start asking these kind of questions, right? So what you're eventually going to do is you're going to build that rapport, because nothing happens. Remember, there's a 3-tier system. First, they got to know you. Then they got to like you. Then they got to trust you. Once that trust happens, you're in. But you're not going to build that trust if you just let them off the phone and take I'll see you in a month. Okay? So, another thing you can drive home. So, by the way, just so you know, a little way to flex a little muscle on this, just so you know, the market inventory has gotten worse every single month in the last year. So, what might have been 2 months of inventory last year at this time, we're down in the neighborhoods down to 2 weeks. So by the time you search for, an agent, and you pick an agent, and you start searching for your home in the middle of the summer, the hottest time of the year, your inventory is going to be scarce. It's going to be crazy trying to buy the house. You may, and just a thought for you, Taylor, you may be able to do something today and still close in July before the major rush of the summer for buying homes. Would that interest you? I'm just going to keep asking questions. I'm going to keep prying, and I'm going to show value. Would you like to see some data on those market numbers I just said from a year ago to today? Can I show you the trends? I will send it to you right now. I'm going to keep showing value until, guess what? you know what, I know you're thinking about a month from now, but I really would love to meet with you and put you on a strategy session right now of things I think you should be thinking about before you buy a home. You don't have to pick me as your agent, but I just want to give you free info. Remember, everybody is interested in one thing. What's in it for me? Why do I meet you now? I don't want to pick an agent for a month. What's in it for me? Can you explain that? That's what you got to think about. Okay, we're running short. Yes?
Can you say that line one more time? I would like to meet you now, and did you say strategy?
And what are you wearing? That's always my favorite. No. Okay. Click. Okay. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
You said something about, I would like to meet you now, and was it strategize?
Yeah. Meet you now and help you form a strategy session tailored to you. And what are you wearing? Yeah. Exactly.
Don't accidentally say it.
Yeah, you know, I'm waiting for someone to do it. No. I'll get that phone call. It won't be good. I know.
Mike told me to say it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's, we're in our groups. Let's go ahead with those objections. Let's take it away.
Let me just have a conversation.
Any questions? Oh, you mean the flow of the conversation? Yes, I do. Yep. Yep. I got it. Yep. So you do that at the end of the month, so by first week of May, we'll have the new clean up. Yeah. Oh, we also have multiple meetings. You know, so I know you're on the right now, and that's just getting rolling. So, yeah.
Probably what I'll do.
Yes. Yep. And there will be a file that's associated with it. It'll be both. You get 25%. No, you what we do is we just take it over the first. So I mean, there's times that people have, you know, their body sell, and there's an agent trying to make it so the bigger the two, they compete for the 100%. So what we do is we just do another close first, and that also goes for the close. So you know, usually that's not swatch. You send the brothers that buy shale, or buy right away. We'll get those brothers. Yeah, so, yep, you will. Yep. So I mean, yeah, we just want one transaction from the whole thing, and then we're good. We give the rest to you. Now, a lot of companies have three, and I don't like that. So I want you guys to be able to.
It's like you said, the question is, how can I
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what they do. Yep. I mean, they cap you. They're gonna make the money off you first before you make it on you. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Go for it. Yes. That's a game. I'm not the same guy. I'll have more. I know it's your first weekend here, but, okay, guys, let's wrap it up. We got 5 minutes left, so I wanted to see how you guys are doing. Let's wrap it up. Mr. Rogers back there. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Tam in a pink cardigan, I just love it. Okay, hey, nothing. Just checking to see if everybody's ready to wrap up. Let's get back here, guys. Okay, Tam's group. How'd you do? What'd you stumble on? What went well?
It all went great.
One conversation, guys.
Well, I think one thing we stumbled a little bit about is the initial screenings. I usually introduce myself and then start talking.
Yep.
And one thing you were talking about was like, don't mention your
Right.
away.
Right.
You just do a name though? Like, do you do, I understand what you call it.
Nope, and the reason I don't is this, because remember, there's 4 different distinct personality types in the world, okay? You get a strong D on the phone, and you come off as a salesperson, and they don't want to talk to you, boom. You have to pique their interest of why to talk to you. So, maybe a high I would hang in there with you, but a high D, probably not. Even a high C, probably not. Send me the data, tell me what you're talking about, get to the point. I don't want to talk to a salesman. Why are you calling? That's usually how it kind of goes up. I grew up in a household that if somebody called trying to sell something, not only did they get hung up on right away, they got swore at beforehand. That was literally my experience with salespeople growing up. So it was really comfortable getting in this industry, let me tell you.
So name, the property, you call, what's the first thing?
Yep. Looks like you may have landed on one of our websites. It looks like you landed on one of our websites, one of our pages, one of our whatevers. And I'm just calling as a courtesy call to make sure it went well for you, like your approach. Want to make sure it went well. Did you get what you need out of it? How can I help you? By the way, who am I speaking to? Oh, you're Taylor. Great. My name is Mike. And you don't always want to say you're a realtor right away on those customer service calls. I'm going to give you that little tip right now. The earlier they figure out you're a realtor, not always the best with the conversation. You have to say it. You can't hide the fact, but it's timing it correctly. That's what you want to do. Hold on one sec, Stephanie. So what else went good or bad in the conversation?
I think everything else went fine.
So Tam didn't talk?
No, Tam listened.
Okay, good, perfect. Actually, I like to give Tam, for everybody that doesn't know Tam, he's my favorite guy to give crap to, but he's also one of our top producers. The guy is good, so even though I give him crap,
Thanks.
yeah. I give him lots of crap, though. All right, Stephanie.
No, something just came to my mind, that I did a couple of years ago when I started this, stuff with the platform, and I just came back to my brain. I used to call people and I'd say, hi, this is Stephanie, I'm calling with ExploreTwinCitiesListings.com, how are you today?
Absolutely.
And I
Yep.
did that, and they're like, I'm great. And then I said, well, I'm just calling you today to, I see you registered on our site, and I was just calling to see if you had any questions.
I love the approach because you're actually
And I
naming the
use it
site.
every time, and I'm like, I am so glad this just came to my brain
Yep.
like 2 minutes ago. Well, this was what I was.
Yep.
This was, but we could say, FinanceCountyHomes.com or whatever you're.
As long as you know that's the platform it came from, then you're good.
Never said last name company, just, and I say
Correct.
whatever platform.
Correct. Absolutely. Because the only thing you have in common with this person right now is that website.
Right.
HennepinCountyHomes.com, or in your case, with the team you're on, it was ExploreTwinCities.com,
Yeah.
right? That's the only common tie, the only reason to be talking to them.
So you don't ask if you're talking to the right person.
No.
Right away, 'cause
You don't-
almost always-
I always do. Yep, I always do. I want to say, hey, I'm just calling on behalf of Hennepin County Homes. Looks like somebody landed on the site. Was that you? I will ask that because I always want to. What I don't want to do is have it be somebody's spouse or son or daughter or whoever that was on there, and then them immediately hanging up. So I want to say, hey, was that you? If the answer is no, great. Who else in the household might have landed on it? Then I'll ask the question. You'd be surprised how many people I lost early on in my career because I assumed the person calling was the person that I'm calling was actually the one that engaged, and it wasn't. So I made that mistake many times. I'll never make that again. Okay, great info, Stephanie. Love it. Anybody else? What went good in the conversation? How about you guys?
Well, we had, asking a question with a question, it was really tough for me at the beginning, but
Yep.
I started getting
Start getting the flow?
So I need to really practice that.
Gotcha. So you started the flow, and and you can stick with the LP Mama method, which is going to be price and area and all that kind of stuff. You can stick with the common 5. You know, or you can get more into depth that's more tailored to them too. I mean, with the conversation, as you get better at lead conversion, you're going to see new avenues to explore with people.
We were asking, what kind of agent would you like to work with?
Yep.
Is communication a big part of it?
Yes.
Somebody with a lot of experience, asking questions about what agent are you looking for?
Yep,
in
what
the
qualities?
interviewing process.
Right. What's important to you? Now, does anybody know what the highest cited reason for picking an agent is?
Say that again?
The highest cited reason for why they pick that person as an agent?
Experience?
Reputation and trustworthiness. Okay, so that's
Find that out.
because it's usually a referral. It's usually coming from someone's database where, you know, Elijah has referred me strongly to Scott. So there's automatically a like and trust. Or they get the sense. What happens, and this is what you guys got to really, really dial in on. You've got to say the right things and do the right things to instill a feeling of trust. You ever talk to somebody and you go, I just like this person. I feel like they're good for me. That's what you're really doing. It's not about the words you choose. It's not about, you know, having the perfect script down, because you'll never have it. It's about, can you empathetically express that you are trustworthy and you're the one that they should be working with? Can you make that connection with them? That's the number one driven reason. Now, again, I did mention there's 4 different types of personalities. A strong D may not be as touchy-feely. They don't care about the trust. They say, why? Tell me why you. That might be the reason they want to talk to you. But most of the spectrum down the personality scales, it comes down to trust and just a feeling of, I like you and I trust you and I want to work with you. So they got to know who you are, then they got to like you, then they got to trust you. It comes down to how fast you can drive up that scale. Okay? All right. So answering a question with a question, so you need to work on that flow. That's the flow, right? So you're trying to figure out which questions to ask, in what order, and what time frame. Little natural. Yep, towards the end. Okay, so you guys, how'd it go? He's a good objector. Good. Good. How did it go? He was putting up the stone wall. How did Casey do trying to climb it?
Great.
Good.
So, answer the phone. I'm a stay-at-home dad. Wife's at work. She's the one that was clicked on the website. So we are not pre-approved. Our credit's horrible. So we're thinking maybe like the next year or something. So she was really trying to be.
So you made a real world buyer then. Yes, perfect. Yeah.
So really consultant role.
Yeah.
She brought up first-time home buyer, and then I was like, oh, what is that all about?
So she was giving you thought-provoking information and questions, right? Good. Perfect. Love to hear it. Who had troubles with the assigned objections?
I had trouble objecting, so we did a property specific.
You're just too nice of a guy.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be interviewing agents next month. So.
You're like, I was an interview agent next month, but I really want to work with you. You just had trouble being the mean guy, right?
You did a good job of just saying, well, let's just go meet at the property.
Okay. Did anybody struggle getting over the objection, or did anybody struggle getting the point across, or, I mean, anybody have a rough time with that? Or we're all pretty good? Anybody lying right now? There we go. Okay, so yeah, I just want to be real clear on that. These objection, guys, take practice, because the beauty is you're going to hear the same 10, 15 objections over and over from different people. So the better you get at handling those, the more money in your pocket. People are going to stonewall you when they don't know you. Happens. So, by the way, does anybody know the growth rate of lead generation, by the way? Back in 2010, 11, you might have had 2 or 3, maybe 4 million people land on Zillow. We have over 100 million unique visitors a year on Zillow now, which is interesting considering only 5 to 6 million homes sell in the United States a year. You wonder how that happens, but there is a lot of opportunity on lead gen. And I think over time, and especially with the millennial market, guess what the millennial market likes to do better than any other generation before it? It likes to research. It looks at your reviews, your ratings, what other people say about you. It will vet you harder than you've ever been vetted in your whole career. And the information is a touch of a button away. If you haven't started building your profiles on social media, on Yelp, on Zillow, if you haven't started building your profiles, this is a great thing to do in your office structure time, or you're working on your business time, your infrastructure time. Those reviews will make you money. So, we're going to wrap up for the day. We got the next class starting in a few minutes. So, thank you guys. Unless you have any questions before we go? Comments? Anything? All right.
Mike, how long is the next class?
1 hour. Yes, yep, Jeff Sweetfold, owner of Lindy.
What time's he coming in?
Should be, this last. Yeah. So, I'll get Tabitha to get things wrapped up here.
Yeah, no problem.